Good morning, this is Will Faerber from Art to Ride, and I'm here this morning with my good friend here, Faerber, who you've seen a few videos about. And today I thought I'd spend a little time talking about horses that spook. You know, we find very often horses come to us, and by the time we get them, and especially the big ones that are very powerful, they've gotten into the hands of people who are not so experienced riders who've gotten afraid of them, and they start spooking at every little thing, and pretty soon they can't go around the ring without spooking 10 times, and of course then they start dumping people and this kind of thing. So I want to talk to that a little bit about how you deal with it. One of the things I want to point out is that relaxation, like doing a shoulder in, like doing a half pass, you know, it's a skill that we have to teach the horses. The biggest mistake that people make, especially when inexperienced people get a hold of these kind of big, large horses that have amazing movement, you know, that are big waves, as I like to say. They have a lot of thrust through their back. You know, when people feel them spook or get uptight a little bit, and the first thing they do is stop and pet them on the neck and try to calm them down. Well, unfortunately, the problem with that, as soon as you stop them and pet them on the neck, you've basically rewarded them for spooking. So the number one thing is, no matter how a horse is doing, you know, you must keep them working and never just, you know, when they spook at something, stop, let them stand there and look at it. That's the worst thing that you can possibly do. You want to just act like, from the minute you start training horses, that whatever they're looking at is just no problem to you. You stay relaxed and you just go right on as if it isn't there. You never want to get in a big fight with horse, for instance, trying to force them to face something, which is always a huge mistake. If they have something that they're spooking at, the best idea, if you're still on their back, would be to do a shoulder in by it so they can't look at it directly, and you can get them into the outside rein and get them by it. But the main thing here that I want to point out is the idea here is we must train for relaxation as a skill. You know, very often I'll see people, you know, they'll work a horse, they get them till they're a little relaxed, and then they get on, they start spooking, and then they get in another big fight with them about all of these things. We don't want to ever get in a fight with the horse. You know, we want to put ourselves in a position to win these battles. Now, there's two types of horses that spook. There's horses that are really afraid, and then there are horses that have learned to spook at things as an evasion to get out of the work, usually because someone has gotten afraid of them, and as soon as they spook, that once again, as I say, they stop and pet them on the neck and say, "Oh, good boy, don't be afraid, don't be afraid." Well, as soon as you do that with a horse, unfortunately, they are very quick to put that together. And remember, a horse's goal, you know, your goal is to ride, their horse is to get you to stop, their goal is to get you to stop riding. That's why they buck people off and do all the things they do, so they would rather not do this. So we want to make it a pleasant thing for them, but we can never let them learn that they can get control over us through the spooking thing. So how do you tell if a horse is really afraid or spooking? Well, a good example for these kinds of horses, Faerber here, and our horse Zoolander, who you've seen some tapes of, and you know, he was given to us for that same reason. He had developed this spooky thing where as long as he was on the ground, as long as you're patting them on the neck, and as long as you're, you know, grooming them, this sort of thing, they're the most relaxed horses in the world. As soon as you get on them, all of a sudden they're spooking at every little sound, makes them jump out of their skin, every little thing or a movement. In our particular case, we have a tent here behind us, which is where we house our machine that does the footing in the ring for us. You know, and once in a while it will flap a little bit in the wind, so that's a good excuse, for instance, like with this horse. So this morning, what I did with him, for instance, is just kept him walking on a loose rein until he relaxed. But when I started with these horses, I don't worry about the frame, I don't worry about, you know, how much they're learning in terms of, you know, new movements and this sort of thing. We just have to get them to accept the work and come out and relax. So that starts on the lunge line by teaching them at first to stretch into the contact, and as soon as they relax, we finish and go on, instead of thinking you have to do more and more. So with these kind of spooky horses, once I got him to start relaxing on the lunge line, where he'd come out and realize, and he was a horse who, for instance, this one, you know, he would spook at everything and they'd try to stop on it. If you didn't let him stop, then he'd start throwing a temper tantrum. So I had to get him to the other side of that by just not making any big physical demands, except to just move forward ahead of my leg, which on the lunge line, of course, is the whip, into my hand, which is the contact with the rein, which is why that's so important. As soon as the horse relaxes, then I'm done for the day. I go through the same step the next day, get him to relax at that point, and then, like for instance with this horse today, then I get on him and he has to relax all the way down. So I'm not looking for I'm not trying to make the horse go up the level so quickly. I'm trying to instill this foundational thing that we must have, which is to have the horse relaxed. If it's working in tension, you're never going to get anything good. So I just come out and just get the horse to completely relax, forgetting about anything else, forgetting about how good he's doing leg yields, forgetting about how, you know, much he may be coming up the levels, this sort of thing. The goal is just to get the horse to come out, accept the work, stay in the work, and realize that if he just relaxes and get in the zone, that is where he's not looking at everything, and just relax with the rider, that's what we want. So I train for that skill alone until I have that. Then I can begin making more demands on the horse, and as his physical development progresses, as he gets more top line. As we saw with this one when we first saw him, he actually has holes in his back here, and you can see his muscling is all on the other side, on the underside of his neck rather than the top side of the neck, which I'm happy to say that's beginning to change. So that's all I'm trying to do in the beginning, is just get that top line to light up and get the horse to understand that it can come out and work in relaxation. Now, I have had horses that have taken me hours and hours and hours, as it did with this one at first, to get him to relax. So my first lessons with him were upwards of 2 hours just to get him to finally relax in the ring. So one of the cardinal rules is never let a nervous or uptight horse leave the ring. No matter how uptight they are when they come in the ring, we want to work for that relaxation and never leave the ring at the end of the session until the horse is completely relaxed and stretching down on a long line, no matter how long that may take, because that's the skill that we're really trying to teach. We're teaching the horse to work in relaxation. Now, horses that are really afraid, how do you know they're really afraid? A really afraid horse will start to shake. They actually will start to shake. You'll feel them quiver. Now, if you ever feel a horse doing that with you on them, get off immediately. Just stop and get off. Now, has the horse won the day? No, because what you're going to do is immediately put the horse back on a lunge line and work them until they relax and through the problem, rather than fight them. A horse that is shaking is dangerous. I have seen horses jump off of cliffs with people. I've seen them run in front of cars with people. I've seen them just flip out to the point where they just start having spasms, leaping in the air, kind of like, I don't know how to even describe it, like a lunatic where that's just completely lost its mind. It's no fun to be on those kind of horses. So if you ever feel a horse shake with you, that's a horse that's really afraid, and that's a time that you do want to get off. Keep them where you are in the ring, put them back on a lunge line until they relax. Once you get that relaxation, stop. Even if you never got back on the horse, it won't matter. The point is you've got to get the horse to work relaxed in the ring. So once again, this is Will Faerber from Art to Ride. We're talking about the spooky horse today and why they spook. Once again, even the nervous ones, usually horses do something by accident the first time. So if they happen to spook and you immediately stop and pet them on the neck and go, good boy, well, you've just rewarded them for spooking. So we can't do that. Just keep working, even if it's only working in a walk. And that's what you should remember. No horse should come out of a walk until it's completely relaxed. What we don't want to do is what we see so many people doing today is that every day they ride their horses. And we see this in these so-called upper level horses all the time. They come out and the riders fight with them. They're spooking. They're doing all this stuff. It takes them an hour and a half to work the horse down. They think the horse is relaxed, but really the horse is exhausted. So you got to learn the difference between a horse that is relaxed and a horse that is exhausted. And we don't want to have to bring a horse to exhaustion every day. And when you see trainers doing that, just grinding and grinding and grinding horses, and you see fight, 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 and finally the horse gives it up. That's a horse that's being ridden to exhaustion every day. It will never stop spooking. In fact, it will take you longer and longer all the time to work the horse down if that is how you're going about it, because you're not really getting the horse to mentally relax. You're just getting to the point where he's so exhausted he can barely move, and he gives you the appearance of relaxation, but it's a very different thing. A relaxed athlete must come out and be relaxed before he is completely exhausted, and that's where all the injuries start to happen. So when you exhaust a horse, its muscles are totally exhausted, and then people get on them and ask them to extended trots and these kinds of things, and pretty soon they've got a bowed tendon. So we don't want to work horses to exhaustion. We want to work them to relaxation. So hope that helps. This is Will Faerber from Art to Ride, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.